Let's move tonight. Power hour, power hour. Let's learn tonight. Power hour, power hour. Learn Lenin right. Power hour, power hour. Join the ACP. Power hour, power hour. Sound hip to me. Power hour, power hour. Don't wait and see. Power hour, power hour. The people make their own history. Let's move tonight. Power hour, power hour. Let's move tonight. Power hour, power hour. Let's learn tonight. Power hour, power hour. Learn Lenin right. Power hour, power hour. Join the ACP. Power hour, power hour. Sound hip to me. Power hour, power hour. Don't wait and see. Power hour, power hour. The people make their own history.
In the world that we live in, we must all make a choice. Which side do we stand on? How will you use your voice? In the land called America, there's two choices we can compare. Who do we choose for president over here and over there? Will you choose a pedophile who hangs out with Epstein? Or will you choose a bus driver whose record with the kids is clean? Or will you choose the silver spoon one with his $1 million loan? Or will you choose the workers' hero, Nicolas Maduro? Which side are you on? Oh, who will you choose? Will it be the orange pedo or the chill Latino dude? Who will truly serve the people? Will it be the man of working class? Or will it be Epstein's buddy who's sitting on his ass? Oh, Donald Trump is a pedo and Maduro is a king. All my homies love Maduro and together we will sing. Trump's a pedo, Trump's a pedo, Trump's a pedo. Send him to the island alone.
Oh, yo, no. Whoa, yo.
Oh, there was a Venezuelan, Hugo Chavez was his name. As a military colonel, he gained honor and great fame. He said, I lead a revolution on behalf of the working class. We will take back our oil and knock the invaders on their ass. George W. Bush said we will coup you, but it was always destined to fail, 'cause Chavez had the support of the people and George Bush should have been in jail. Do you want a warmonger leader or a man who actually served? Do you want a fail son leader or a man whose success is earned? Viva Chavez, Viva Chavez. Which side are you on? Oh, who will you choose? Will it be the orange pedo or the chill Latino dude? Who will truly serve the people? Will it be the man of working class? Or will it be Epstein's buddy who were sitting on his ass? Oh, Donald Trump is a pedo and Maduro is a king. All my homies love Maduro and together we will sing. Trump's a pedo, Trump's a pedo, Trump's a pedo. Send him to the island alone. Whoa, yom, dom. Whoa, yom, when they tell you he's a criminal, do not forget about Epstein. The list was on Pam Bondi's desk until they saw Trump's name in green. If you think the swamp is draining, I've got a bridge to you I'll sell. Trump is one with the elite creepers who will be judged soon in hell. Venezuelan leaders have honor, which is why Trump wants their heads. Maduro isn't on the Epstein list, and so they want him dead. Make the world a big dead colony. Trap them with the IMF. If they fight back even a little, then we strangle them to death. Now I, for one, have had enough. It's time for this to end. I want my own bus driver leader, not pedophile excuses for men.
All right, what's up, everybody? Hope you like that intro song. We're back with a late night stream. Got a lot to talk about. A lot has happened in the last few weeks alone. It really feels like nonstop. My brain kind of hurt from taking in all the news today. Had a lot going. There's every day there's a new fight breaking out on the right wing. I can barely keep track of these people at this point. They all just hate each other. You have the right wingers who are actually upset about the fact that a bunch of their leaders are uh, satanic pedophiles, and then you have the right wingers who are supporting them anyways, even though they are satanic pedophiles. So that's causing a lot of divisions, and it's very interesting to watch. And we had Elon Musk recently getting caught up on these lists or these newest Epstein leaks. More about Bill Gates, which I guess was to be expected at this point. Um, who are some of the other people on there? Fidel Castro was essentially vindicated because I had heard some people accusing him of being friends with Epstein. But the files actually showed the opposite, that Epstein was celebrating Castro's death because of the new opportunities it opened for him in Cuba. So, yeah, what do you make of this in general?
I think it shows the depravity of the ruling class. Um, and there's a correlation, I think, with the decline and degeneration of the system of capitalism in general and the cultural proclivities that have developed in the ruling class. Or maybe they were there all along and they just hit it better. But I think what this should lead people to recognize is that it's not a quote unquote partisan issue. Both parties, leading members from both parties are implicated, leading members of the media, leading capitalists, leading doctors, and various medical institutions. I mean, basically everyone within the ruling elite, artists, Hollywood, basically everyone is implicated. And that's when you come to realize George Carlin's essential wisdom. It's one big club and we're not in it. And guess what? This isn't the sort of club working class people want to be in either. Um, so I think hopefully, I mean, what I keep thinking is like, when are the American people going to say, all right, enough is enough? Are we too desensitized to realize that, to realize that we can do something? That's the question I keep asking myself. When are the American people, the same people that 150, 250 years ago, if my math doesn't fail me, had a revolution over a tax hike on tea? When are these people who are indebted and struggling to get by and ran by a bunch of pedophiles? When are these people going to finally wake up and act in the way their forefathers did 250 years ago?
Yeah, I don't think we're too far off. I think the energy is definitely there. People are raging, and it's not just people on the left anymore. That said, thank you for the super chat, Allegory Espresso. Can you please talk about Jake Shields being cooked? Fed Zarian, meaning Nick Fuentes, called him to make up with Femboy Fuentes. I mean, yeah, I don't, I know Jake, not super well. I wouldn't say like we're close friends or anything. But I met the guy and hung out with him. But he made himself look really, really bad today. By posting his like long phone call that he had with Fuentes and making up with him because him and Nick were going off on each other for like a day straight and making real serious criticisms of each other. Um, Jake was saying that Fuentes burns every bridge he has. He does nothing but divide. They were leaking text messages that they had sent to each other in private, which is such a catty, like womanly, like not even woman, like high school girl thing to do, which Fuentes was doing, and then Jake did in response. So they're going at each other nonstop, and then all of a sudden Jake is like, "Yeah, we talked. We're good. We're on the same team again." And it's like, dude, this is like what happens when a celebrity says something that gets backlash and they double down on it and then they apologize. What happens is you end up pissing everybody off. Now you pissed off all of the Fuentes fans who were in your audience by going after him. So they're not gonna like you as much as they used to ever again. And you pissed off all the people like me who had your back and said, yes, Nick Fuentes is a Fed. I don't agree with Jake on a lot of issues, but he's right on this one, and he's a more honest person than Fuentes. And now it makes people question, well, is he? If he, says that he has all these deep criticisms of this guy, but then he's willing to just shake hands and go on a catboy date with him in Las Vegas or whatever. I don't know. I feel like he caved to the pressure, which I've never seen him do before, and as long as I've known him. And I don't know. I hope he. I mean, how long is it going to be before Fuentes and him disagree on another position and they have another falling out? And this has already happened twice. I think he's just like holding out hope that Fuentes is who he thought he was, and he's not, dude. He's a theater kid who, as you said yourself, was selling a sweatshirt that promotes the rape of children and the murder of children. And you said that was disgusting and people got behind it. And then you switched up on us. Like, I'm sorry, not to say I hate you or I'm going to block you or ignore everything you say from here on out. But that was a huge, huge, huge L. And I don't think he realizes how much of an L it is, because I don't think he's like very media brained. I think he's just like a guy who's basically just saying what he thinks. And, yeah, it was a huge L. It's a shame.
I didn't get to see him
I
flip.
almost feel bad for him.
I didn't get to see him flip back. I saw this morning some of the stuff he was putting out, and there was a few very funny tweets that we shared with each other. I've been teaching basically the rest of the day, and now I just found out through the comment section that he flipped. Very soft, very weak-willed. You have to stand on business, and standing on business means sometimes telling people who he might have personally liked or who might have been important for his development that they're pussies, and that they are what they are, and saying it with your chest and standing on business, even when they come to you and they try to tell you shit to get you to walk back what you've said. And the same attitude, that I see from him, we've seen from people on the left, people that have been very good commentators on Palestine and things of that nature, with these Chomsky releases that are tied to Epstein. A lot of very, very soft criticisms made of him. A lot of people trying to justify certain things. And look, I get it. If someone is influential for your political trajectory, it's as simple as saying, I guess he's a fucking piece of shit and fuck him for that. But personally, for me, he was helpful. And that is not going to change retroactively. But he is what he is, and we cannot smooth over that just because he's good on these other areas, or was good on these other areas for me. What I found very interesting was this tweet article from Vijay Prashad, where the condemnation of his friend Noam Chomsky is very, very soft, and he treats him basically with kitty gloves. And when you compare his treatment of Chomsky with how he treated Jackson after having a very cordial interview, how he treated the ACP, not our organization, but yeah, I mean, the 1,000 plus people that are in ACP around the country that are working their ass off to fight for their communities, to fight against imperialism, to fight for the working class. You should feel this at a personal level, how he treated us. For what? To satisfy some bullshit leftists that got mad at him for having the conversation? Really? Calling us fascists? What has been our crime? When every single fucking time we have stood on the right side, on the side against US imperialism. And his friend Chomsky, extremely against the Soviet Union, shit talked the fuck out of the most important worker state in the 20th century, or their second most, whatever you want to say, completely went along with the propaganda around Libya, the most prosperous nation in Africa, whose overthrow by the Obama regime led to literal open trade slave markets. So it was cool to be friends with Chomsky with all that shit. Now the Epstein stuff comes out and adds another layer of degeneracy and stupidity and anti-communism to Chomsky, especially some of his comments on Venezuela that Vijay Prashad does his revolutionary tourism travels to basically every year. And now is when you can start criticizing with the kitty gloves. But the ACP and Jackson and all these fucking people that have stood on business from day one, that don't have any resources, that don't have any fucking backing from these degenerate elites, those people have to be condemned as fascists. Fuck you.
Really? I mean, what is Jackson's crime? He thinks that the Democrats were pushing over-sexualized material in elementary schools? Well, maybe there was something to that if we got a bunch of pedophiles running the country, right? Maybe Jackson was right, and maybe you guys have always been the pedos and the pedo defenders all along. Anyways, we don't have to go there, but it's something to think about. Corvid Conquest, thank you for being a member for 15 months. Appreciate you, brother. Someone told me Putin is in the Epstein files. He probably said because he hates Putin. Yeah, there was nothing like correspondence. It was like Epstein wanting to meet with him or something, and it never happened. But have y'all found anything regarding Putin in those files? Nope, I doubt him, but I haven't checked. And you got to remember too, this is still being released by the DOJ. Like they're gonna slip weird stuff in there, and understand what a red herring is too. So, in the last batch of leaks, there was this email from Epstein to Larry Nasser, that creepy USA gymnastics doctor who assaulted a bunch of women, and it was very, very clearly fake. It was like, I think they were talking about Trump, but it was in this like way over the top, obviously fake way. And it was to get people to look at that and say, well, this all must be fake then. And what's interesting is like there were a lot of independent journalists who I respect to the point where I almost don't even want to name them because I don't want to like trash them, but good independent journalists who thought this was like all like a Russiagate hoax, the whole Epstein thing. And I think they fell for some of those red herring tactics. And I also think they were like, they had this like liberal tendency to underestimate how evil the owning class is, where they felt like this was the satanic panic 2.0, where it was just a bunch of conservatives or liberals pushing this Epstein thing whenever it was convenient for them, whenever it could be used against their political opponents. And they didn't realize that, no, it was actually true of both sides. They actually are like satanic pedo elites. So a lot of guys, a lot of journalists who I think are generally pretty decent took a big hit to their reputation. Michael Tracy being one of them. He's been saying this is a hoax for weeks, and now since the last batch of Epstein files leaked, he hasn't been on Twitter in 4 days. And there's a guy who tweets all the time. So
I find it incredible that there's still people who believe that there's even a semblance of decency and honesty in the ruling class. I don't get it. I really don't, like, especially if you've been covering U.S. foreign policy actions and imperialist wars around the world. Like everything with the Epstein file as a new level of degeneracy and disgust. But these people have been dismembering babies around the world by the tens and hundreds of thousands for decades. That's kind of their thing. You don't think that the same people that pay no mind to blowing up whole communities are gonna be willing to do the most disgusting, perverted shit in the world? Really? They already don't value the sanctity of human life unless it's a life that's also a part of their own economic class. Uh, so I just don't get this naivety that a lot of people have. Like maybe this shock makes them mature. There was a lot of people during COVID that were leftists, that would have been critical of every institution, of big pharma and everything. And then they just accepted the whole narrative that they were fed. And not only did they accept it, but they were on the front lines of propagating a lot of the narratives that were coming right down from big pharma that were benefiting their economic interests. And there was not the skepticism that I think every Marxist should have. The essence of the revolutionary attitude is having a complete skepticism to everything that the regime says, whether it's even it gets to a level where sometimes it's a little bit paranoid. But I even like the people that are like, are sports events rigged? That level of skepticism is very healthy. That's the level of skepticism I think all Marxists should have, because once you realize, bro, everything in this bitch is done for money and for profit and for keeping up the spectacle and defending empire, there's nothing that should be beyond doubt. Nothing. And after you doubt it, you could be like, okay, maybe we went too far with that. But everything should be, at least in its immediacy, suspect for you.
absolutely. You could make the argument that all sports are rigged. CM Punk told me once that all pro sports are rigged. And he was a pro athlete. So, Eddie and Carlos, have you seen some of the emails? Can you talk about how Epstein's ideology shares in common with the 4chan incel type? Yeah, this is one of the things that I had on the list to talk about today. Let me pull up quick some posts from our wise and powerful chairman, Oz. Oops, let me share my screen with you all real quick. But this was, if not the most interesting, certainly one of the most interesting things in this new batch of leaks. One sec. They created the degenerate far right and the fake libtard left because they were scared all the anger towards the system after 2008 was going to revive communism. If you want to stop them, make their fears come true. Yeah, I made a post similar to this in response to one of Haas's other posts. This one, in fact, which, holy shit. I know there was also a viral quote tweet of this from one of our ACP Canada cadre. Basically saying when you were proved right that Nick Fuentes was a Fed connected to Epstein all along, and I got like 50,000 likes. So I don't know what Jake Shields is doing, caving and chasing after Nick Fuentes' approval after his recent support for the world's most famous and nefarious pedophile and child sex trafficker. He's got a lot of people who hate him. His generational run has collapsed, and now it's just a bunch of incels who don't leave their house who are still supporting him. But anyway, I mean, there's a surprising number of them given how much of a degenerate Nick Fuentes is. But anyways, Haas said immediately after Jeffrey Epstein, after meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, Chris Poole, the founder of 4chan, launched Dash Poll, which is exactly where Nick Fuentes' audience grew and where the entire alt-right sort of originated. You kind of had a similar thing with the woke left on Tumblr, and this far-right ideology that actually ended up helping to get Trump elected, sort of incubated on 4chan and then had real-life implications, of course. So Hobbes goes on to say the alt-right was a 100% Zionist and deep state creation, even more than the fake libtard left was. This psyop culminated in 4chan raised Nick Fuentes defending Epstein himself. So it really came full circle. Epstein and Israeli intelligence helped to create 4chan as controlled opposition, and now Nick Fuentes, the leader of the 4chan incel communities, far-right incel communities, is openly supporting Jeffrey Epstein and saying, he has aura, bro. Listen, guys, I'm tired of taking crap from low-IQ anti-Semites just because I want to come out here and support pedophilia. Listen, everybody's out here saying it's bad to support pedophilia. So, like, it's super edgy and base to say that you support it. Like, you don't understand. You just have to say whatever's edgy. You guys are out here talking about principles and political change? No, just say you support pedophiles so you can watch people rage online. I know what I'm doing. Don't question me. Get in line, Jake Shields. Whoops. Back to the Goy farm.
And it closes off with him saying, Christ is king.
Christ is king. Okay. Me and my catboy boyfriend go to church every Sunday, okay? Have you guys ever met people who go to church every Sunday who are actually Christian? They don't talk or act like Nick Fuentes, I'll tell you that much. They are usually much more humble too. He's such a narcissistic little twerp, and that'll be his downfall. That's why he can't stop doubling down on his support for a pedophile child murderer.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such an obvious fact that the last month and some change of Nick Fuentes' content has been geared towards normalizing what has been released in the last few days. There's no way that I think a good chunk of his base was primed to react in the very accepting way that they've reacted to a lot of this, had it not been for the last whole month and some change of content that he's done trying to convince and prepare his people so that when something like this came out, they didn't react in alternative ways. And I think that's part of why we're seeing him lose his base. And just like with MAGA, the people that leave are the people that are going to be worthy and like smart enough. Those that stick around are many of them, perhaps, maybe in the future they can change, but those that stick around are the ones that are beyond, what's the expression? Beyond salvation or something like that.
Yeah. Beyond the pale.
Mm-hmm.
Got another super chat here. I have something else I want to cover in a second, but hey, Eddie and Carlos, what are your thoughts on the direction of people like Hassan and Anna? Oh, perfect. This leads right into what we were going to talk about. They're heading in an interesting direction, given that Anna recently said she changed her mind on the death penalty. Yeah, I mean, people are recognizing what Ingalls wrote in that brilliant 3-page pamphlet called On Authority, over 100 years ago now. Which is that it's either we let these pedophiles assert their authority over us or we assert our authority over them. That's really what it comes down to. You can't get rid of this pedophilic, exploitative, debt-trapping ruling elite unless you assert the authority of something else. And what's that something else going to be? Well, of course, the working class. That's what we can unify around. So yeah, they're heading in a good direction because reality is pushing them in that direction. Reality is showing people why Stalin and Lenin and Che and these folks had to be brutal in some ways, because they were fighting a brutal, vicious, borderline satanic enemy. And I thought Hassan's stream this weekend was very interesting. I'll let you comment on this if you want, Carlos, before I play the video. But basically, him and Giannis Varoufakis were endorsing MAGA communism. Giannis was telling him to abandon the Democrats and go talk to right-wing Teamsters and other Trump supporters. And I made this post basically saying this is what we meant by MAGA communism from the beginning, was go talk to the Trump supporters about communism because they're not as far away as you think. And I say, but we got called fascist for it. And what I don't say in this tweet, because I'm not petty and vindictive, is that two of the people who called us fascists for it were Hassan Piker and Giannis Varoufakis themselves. So now they are years later repeating what we have been saying for years on end now, and what Haas has been saying even longer. But whatever. I'm glad. I'm glad they're coming to this position. I hope they go farther in the right direction. This was good to see, and I won't hold it against them that they originally took the wrong position. I'm willing to forget about it because I don't care about the personalities involved. I care about social change.
I couldn't agree more. And I just did a video on this, like literally right before we hopped on stream. And I conclude by saying that in politics, you can't have resentment. At a certain personal level as a man, it's like, well, we were fighting so hard with so little resources at the beginning to build a left that united the working class around class in a world where there's so many forces pushing towards tribalism, to build a left that focused on the principal contradiction of imperialism and the class struggle and not divisive identity politics shit. And when these fucking people come out and just attack us in those ways at the beginning, which the traces of those attacks are still around. They haven't disappeared. They still haunt a large sector of the dissident and leftist people who operate with a conception that takes into account the rumors that these people have spread about us. When they do that, as a human being, as a person that was involved in the enterprise of trying to build the ACP, as I'm sure all of you or most of you in the chat were, it's like it's kind of tough. It's some fuck shit, they should sign the form that's popular to share on Twitter, the apology form. But we're not going to ask for that, though. We're not resentful. We don't need a formal apology. We just want to reiterate that just like we were back then, we're open to working with anyone who agrees with us on some of the principal contradictions at hand, even if there's disagreements on other stuff, and even if they've maligned our name and spread rumors and attacked us for things that they 2 years after are basically repeating word by word.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody was more unfairly attacked in the history of the universe than Oz and Jackson. Not since like the Christian church or the Catholic Church was ruling everything, and they would kill people for like making scientific discoveries. Like that's what we went back to for a while on the left. And people now see that he's been vindicated. And there was definitely a concerted and intelligence agency run or influenced effort to smear him and Jackson. Like I was saying the other day, there are like some like orbiters of ACP, like people we don't know, we've never met, we have no idea who they are, but they have infrared or ACP in their bios, and they'll tweet some crazy shit. And people will be like, this is what you all believe. And that's what people used to do to us to try and keep us away from Haas. They would show us stuff that randos who support infrared would say that we disagreed with. And we'd be like, oh, wow, my stars. I can't believe they would say this. The homeless people aren't Chinese landlords. It was just some like joke or something stupid some random person said. But everything worked out in the end. We broke through the Fed slop psyop, and now we're building. But here was what Giannis said to Hassan Piker, basically telling him to do what the ACP is doing all across the country as we speak. Oops. Where's the damn sound? Is it muted? Can you guys hear it?
Mm-mm.
Did they copyright strike me? No idea what's going on there. But how about this one?
Jeffrey Epstein. He's right.
There we go.
Tiger is correct.
So here was an early one.
I have the video reacting to the one that you wanted to play. We can just pause it whenever it finishes, or watch the video through. I don't know. Whatever's best.
Yeah, let's just watch the video through. Is it on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, one sec. I'll pull that up.
I have it ready to go. You want me to pull it up?
I've got it right here.
Okay.
What button?
Varoufakis tells Hassan that you can't defeat fascism by going to the Democratic Party. Hassan then asks, well, then what do we do?
How do we combat that? Well, we don't count on them. We count on the right-wing Teamsters, on the right, not the leaders of the Teamsters, but, the rank and file. We have to speak to them. We have to address them with respect. Dismissing the Trump voters as fascists is a very big mistake. I call Trump a fascist, but we must never surrender masses of deprived and depraved people to the fascists. They're not fascists. They are people whose discontent has driven them to vote in that.
Varoufakis was absolutely right. You don't fight fascism by cozying up with the liberals. You fight fascism by organizing working people as a class and letting them know that they can only address their grievances through socialism. That no political option within bourgeois democracy is going to be able to actually represent them. But the saddest part about all this is that the people that have been encouraging this approach to the MAGA base were condemned by Varoufakis as fascists themselves. My friends Jackson and Haas developed this idea of MAGA communism that everyone misinterpreted to be a support of Trump or a attempt to synthesize Trump with communism. And it was actually the most anti-Trump position you can have, because its goal was to pull the MAGA working class base away from Trump and towards communism. In that moment, with the Democrats in power, the working class MAGA base presented itself as dissidents to the status quo. They mistakenly saw in Trump someone who was going to drain the swamp, destroy the deep state, end the forever wars, reindustrialize the country. And as we know, none of these things happened. And as we knew back then, he wasn't going to do any of these things. So the whole point of the MAGA communism meme and strategy was to let MAGA workers know everything that you want and that you think Trump is going to give you, he's not going to give you. You can only get through socialism. You can't reindustrialize this country when you still have the profit motive dominant, because it's because of the profit motive that companies went abroad and that the economy was financialized. So it's very sad to see that Giannis is willing to call fascists the people who are simply doing what now, in retrospect, he's telling Hassan to do. But hey, guys, in politics, you can't hold resentment. It's been a few years. There was a ton of bad faith actors that intentionally misinterpreted what the hell MAGA communism was. Now we're in a new historical moment, and we're still willing to work with any individual that is willing to combat U.S. imperialism. The imperialists are able to beat
Based.
That was a really good explanation. One of the best I've heard. I mean, we've explained it a million times, but this really kind of puts it in the public eye again, or puts it in light. Verifalcus calling us fascists and then basically repeating our strategy. It shows that people just misinterpreted what it was. There was intellectual laziness on their part to not actually read Haas's Substack article and what he was talking about before. I mean, literally writing a whole ass article or a whole ass tweet about Haas without taking the time to read what his actual idea was. Imagine, dismissing the works of Marx or any other thinker without taking the time to read it. It's pretty shameful, but I'm glad that they've come around.
And there's no excuse, I think, for these intellectuals. If you tell me some random fucking working class person who works like 8 to 10 hours a day and just scrolls on TikTok in their free time, if they fell for it, that's fine. The irony is most working class people, blue collar working class people, didn't, and the party is composed by a large chunk of this sector of society. But anyways, if you're not an intellectual, if your literal job is not to read, we get it. You can fucking have the luxury to pass abstract judgments. But people like Verifalcus, they're like professors and scholars or people that write books. They're supposed to be the ones capable of, hey, if I'm going to critique something, at the very least, I should try to understand it, right? That's kind of the whole purpose of intellectual debate when you're a scholar. You have to give your opponent at least the respect of formulating correctly what his argument is, and then try to beat it on those terms of what it actually is. If you can't do that, you're just kind of not a scholar. You're just a shit talker. There's an important difference. And I know you've heard me make this point, Eddie, but I don't think I've made it on stream before. There's an important difference between criticism and critique. Anyone can do criticism. If you just sit there and say, oh, that person's outfit is ugly, or oh, that person is stupid, that's criticism. That's not critique. What Verifalcus did to Jackson, to Haas, to the ACP was criticism, not critique. Critique requires an imminent understanding of the object of inquiry, of the object of critique, which means you need to understand the internal logic that drives it. You need to know what the fuck it is that you're critiquing. And the essence of critique is showing how something within the thing that you're critiquing is inconsistent and therefore fails, or it's working on wrongful premises, on premises that are actually not true. In no moment does Verifalcus do that. He doesn't critique the ACP, Jackson, and Haas. He criticizes it in a very superficial manner.
Yep. That's why I use the word shameful, even though it's a little bit harsh. So then also later on that stream, after Yanis Verifalcus said that, Hassan Piker brought me up and even called me Mr. ACP, which is based, by the way. Said he's right on this, which of course I'm right on a lot of things, Hassan. And I took a little jab at him in a friendly way, like my long-standing pro-China position, which you are now coming around to after visiting. I was right on that for a long time. And you recently came around, so maybe it's time to consider that I'm right about some other stuff, like your support of the genocidal, pedophilic, neoliberal, imperialist Democrats who are trying to rape and destroy every country in the goddamn world. Who you still think we're going to have a socialist revolution through somehow. It's really hard to I know Hassan's not a dumb guy, so it's very hard to wrap my head around how he still thinks that we can work through the Democratic Party, unless it's just the social connections that he has in the Democratic Party. But anyways, here's what he had to say about my post about Fidel being basically exonerated.
Eddie Liger is correct. Mr. ACP, he's right on this. The Fidel Castro thing is like completely fucking ridiculous. He did not have an extensive relationship, as far as we know, with Jeffrey Epstein. And what we do know is that Jeffrey Epstein actually saw Fidel Castro as a is a hurdle against his goals in Cuba. Fidel Castro died. Now a lot of possibilities. Fidel Castro died. Now a lot of possibilities for me, Epstein wrote in a 2016 email the same month Castro passed. Eddie Liger is correct.
Kind of a nothing burger, but still interesting to see that I'm on his radar and stuff. My X account has been blowing up like crazy. I had some cool people follow me recently. I want to try to get them on the show, a couple of them, for interviews soon, or just to hang out and talk shit about Israel and the pedophile elite. So yeah, it's good. It's just interesting. I find it easier, like on social media, it's easier to grow usually personal accounts where people see that it's you, versus like the Midwestern Marx account. There's advantages to the Midwestern Marx account. It sounds more official, more professional, and our Instagram is exploding through the roof. But I have a really easy time joining or growing these accounts. I feel like where it's just a profile picture of one person. You kind of develop that parasocial relationship with your audience, but it should lead to a lot of new opportunities. There are a ton of right wingers, anti-Nick Fuentes right wingers who have followed me and our comrade Rev over the last few days. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in building those connections and winning some of these people to the good side.
I think it's very interesting what Epstein said about Cuba, and it highlights how the depravity of this class. They want to overthrow a people's sovereignty, not just to loot their resources and asset strip and do all the usual economic exploitation that we know is intimately tied to imperialism, but at a cultural level, those people become cattle once again, that you can do whatever it is that you want with them, especially the women, especially the children. And that should not ever leave our mind. You know, when the Soviet Union collapsed, it wasn't just economic hardship. It wasn't just the loss of the people's property. It was rampant prostitution, sex trade that still goes on in some of the former Soviet countries, as Eddie has been reporting on with the whole Erica Kirk stuff. That's intimately tied to the stripping of a country's sovereignty. And the people must learn that what's at stake is it's your resources, yes, your sovereignty, but it's your women, it's your children. If you don't want your children to be prey of these satanic fucking rulers of the world and of world capitalism, protect your sovereignty at all cost. Don't take half measures against people within your country that want to undermine that sovereignty, that want to function effectively as an objective lobby of imperialism. With those people, you cannot take half measures, as you know our comrades in Venezuela often do with the opposition. You have to be brutal with the people that are going to be brutal with your country if it falls and if it's toppled. That's just the law of life. And if the nice guys and the good guys and the people fighting for humanity aren't willing to do what it takes to win, we're going to lose. Until a generation of people on the side of justice and on the side of humanity have the balls to do what it takes to defeat the satanic empire.
I'm muted, sorry. Yeah. I mean, we've kind of talked about that before and how it seems just real fucked up that Hassan would use any of his energy attacking us, but I think he's realizing that himself. You know, he's like, these guys aren't doing anything wrong. I lied about them having a cryptocurrency, and all they're doing is freaking shoveling yards for old ladies and like helping their communities and organizing drayage truckers. Like, pretty fucked up to use your energy to attack them and then don't use a fraction of that to criticize the Democrats. And he's realizing that, because I don't think he's, you know, a terrible person. I do think he's a smart guy in a lot of ways. So I hope he continues to come around, and I just love to talk to him one day. I don't know if, you know, if I ever expect him to join the party, but I'd love to have a conversation with him about it. That would be really sick. Then we could just hash out our disagreement.
We all would.
Yeah.
And if you could talk to Bernie Sanders, who 2.5 years after the intensification of the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and the genocide, can go on Theo Vaughn's show and say that Israel was brutally attacked and repeat the rape hoax and the beheading hoax. I believe the beheading hoax as well. I might be wrong about that. And
Agreed.
then go on and say that Israel had a right to defend itself. If you can speak to those motherfuckers, why don't you speak to the ACP? Why don't you speak to the ACP? If you actually give a fuck about Palestine, how are you okay with speaking with these people, but not with the American Communist Party? Why? Because we're not fucking bowing down on the altar of trans stuff. I mean, get fucking serious. Do you actually care about the class struggle and anti-imperialism or about this other shit? I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. Look at where we're at. Look at our fucking moment. And tell me that it's not the fucking right time for these people to put all these petty bullshit squabbles aside and figure out how we can work together to actually build a sovereign left wing in this country, which we haven't had in many, many, many decades.
Yeah, you know what's coming next in this country? And Hassan and people like Kyle Kalinske are going to steer into this. And I've heard Logo Dedalis say this, and I put a lot of stock into his opinion. I think he's brilliant. He's predicted a lot of these things. I think dark woke is next because the Andrew Tate, Sneeko to a lesser degree, Nick Fuentes, edgy, just being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, being anti-woke because the establishment is woke, that is already played out. It's like I went to Joe Rogan's comedy club earlier this year and I was listening to Tony Hinchcliffe tell jokes, and I'm like, a lot of the times there's no joke here. I'm like, he's like, a black guy stole my car and he was black. Oh, yeah, I said that. I just said that. Like, he thinks he's so cool for just saying a race. It's like there's no joke there, right? There's no substance there. It's the same thing with Nick Fuentes in his long, unhinged rant against Jake Shields that Jake Shields came crawling back afterwards. Fuentes was saying, you know what, we're not allowed to say we support Epstein now that everybody's claiming to be against Epstein. It's like, he doesn't actually care about what's right and wrong. He just cares about saying the opposite of what a lot of people think, what's going to make a lot of people mad. And that gets old. It's like, okay, well, fuck you. I actually want to overthrow the pedophiles in government. I don't want to go and die in the jungles of Venezuela for them. And for some maniacal homosexual theater kid, white nationalist Mexican guy who wants to ship me off to die while he sits comfortably in a studio in Chicago. Fuck you. No, I actually want to overthrow these motherfuckers. And that's what, you know, people like Kyle Kalinske, who have never been that into the social issues, you know, they are liberal on those issues if you ask them about it, but like he mainly talks about economic issues and issues of foreign policy on his show. Those are the kind of people who are going to take over now. These people who aren't afraid to say, yeah, you know who's the biggest retard now that we've brought that word back? Donald Trump, who just shit himself at the Oval Office in front of everybody, which is true, and which is our next segment, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. I'll give you a chance to say anything.
Bro, this fucking segment we're about to watch, it feels like it could have came right out of an old Dave Chappelle show skit, you know?
You couldn't write this shit, dude.
You know, with Trump, we might have the pedophiles in power and war in every country, but at least he shorts in the White House, and we get to laugh about it, right?
Yes.
Gates,
You have to laugh.
that he's got.
Oops. I'm gonna play Kyle's commentary too. And for those of you who know, I used to do this series called Teaching Marxism to Kyle Kalinske because I was a big fan. Then I drifted away from him. When he married Crystal, I felt like he was getting more liberal. He started going after Joe Rogan, who had been very nice to him. But then over time, I began to see that he was right about Joe Rogan. Like, Joe Rogan has become a bitch, an establishment bitch. Either that or he's just so dumb and his skull is so thick that he can't realize Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are using him like an actual dog to spread their satanic surveillance state, fascistic ideology all across America. And then Kyle, as time has gone on and as we've seen this cultural shift and the death of this ultra woke identity politics obsessed sort of safe space politics, he's gotten a lot more fun to listen to. I'm not going to lie. I'm listening to the guy every day again. obviously we have our disagreements, right? He's a social democrat, but as someone said, he's a pretty based social democrat. The main disagreement we have in modern politics is Russia. He's anti-Russia. But other than that, he's pretty solid on a lot of these issues, and he's a fun listen. So.
He's just pro-democrat. If these people have
That's
their own
true,
fucking
that's true.
party, we can work with them. Like, we can work with them independently, have a left-wing alliance like there are in other countries where the Communist Party works with social democrats or whatever the fuck, or democratic socialists, and different types of socialists, and that's fine. But it's why are you still tied at the hip of a party that it's only superficially different from Trump? Only superficially different from Trump. In terms of essence, it's the same imperialist policy, and that's for me the main thing. Like, I haven't seen any commentary of his on Russia, so I don't know about that. But even with Iran, I'm sure we have a different perspective on Iran. But his perspective is that at least we shouldn't be fucking there, you know, and that's good enough. That's as much as you can ask from an American. I don't want intervention there. I don't want to, at the behest of Israel, get into a war that could potentially turn into World War III there. I don't want that. I don't want American troops there ready for war. What the fuck? No, of course not. You don't have to go to the extreme where you say, you know, Iran is a good anti-imperialist country, a positive force in the region. I don't even need you to say that. Just say, I don't want the shit that's going on there. And that's where Kyle's at.
That's where a lot of American troops themselves are at, by the way. I have a lot in my life, and none of them want to go to war with Iran, and a lot of them believe that it's a war for Israel. And one of them told me that he'd rather go to war with Israel, but I won't leak his name on space though.
Oh no. Did it happen again, y'all? It may have happened again, y'all. It may have happened again. Take a look at this. Christy Yamaguchi Main, which I love that name, says, I know there's a lot going on right now, but why the hell didn't anyone tell me Trump sharted on live TV so loud you can hear it, and the aides had to rush all the press out the room? There's been a lot of talk about this for...
I'm so juvenile, dude. I laugh every time. He sharted again. There's a lot going on right now, but no one told me he
universal.
What?
Fart comedy is universal. It doesn't matter what country you're in. You hear a fart, maybe except for Brazil, where they do other stuff with farts. No offense to my Brazilian comrades, but around the world, you hear a fart, you're laughing. It doesn't matter if you're 4 years old or if you're 64.
No offense, Glenn Greenwald.
For a while, bro, that homie cannot control his bowels, that he's had issues going back maybe literally decades, that he's got some loose bowels, and some accidents happen from time to time, let's say. I'm trying to keep this as PC as humanly possible. But there's been stories in the past. We'll get to some of those in a minute. But first, let's take a second and judge this one. So this clip is 37 seconds. Honestly, listen closely at the 3-second mark, because I think it happens pretty early at the 3-second mark. And then you'll see how quickly he tries to shut the whole event down. Ready? Watch this. Here we go.
Chemists are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive on these new chemicals.
Okay, now listen again. Again, 3-second mark, you'll hear a little bit, right? And by the way, take note, it's not like there's a microphone right there by him. So the fact that you hear this without a microphone being close, right? So 3 seconds in, right? And look at the woman in green behind Trump as you listen at the 3-second mark. Ready?
Chemists are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive on these new chemicals.
That's great. No.
Dude, I couldn't hear it the first time, and then I listened. I was like, it was so long. It's like extended.
It was a wet one.
One more. Everyone listen close.
Ready?
Chemists are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive.
Look at the aids.
That's great. No, I hear fantastic things. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Oz. It's doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, please. Thank
Mr.
you.
President, can you respond to the new Fox poll that says,
Look at her touching her nose. You see her holding her nose? Look.
Mr. President, can you
Look,
respond
look,
to the new
look.
Fox poll that says people think ISIS's tactics are too aggressive?
Thank you.
Photographers reported.
Now the president shit.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Oh, this is actual idiocracy, dude. By the way, I got a bloody nose, so I gotta put a tampon in my nose. It's super dry here right now, but this is literal idiocracy. Like, guys, the pedophile president shit himself. Get the media out of here. We gotta change his diaper now. Do you think JD Vance? It's like an episode of Steve Brule behind the scenes at the White House. JD Vance is John C. Reilly, and he's like changing Trump's diaper every night. And it's just this like dystopian fucking freak show, like a Tim and Eric episode behind the scenes.
You can tell the media is controlled by the government because no one asked, Mr. President, did you shit yourself? ACP media, if we had been there, we would have asked that.
How does nobody ask that? Like, bro, did you just rip ass?
I wonder what the lady in the green dress was thinking. Because as soon as it came out, she was like,
She
she
knew.
looked at him and she was like covering her nose and shit.
Look, she's gossiping with RFK. RFK's like, you shouldn't inhale that. It's actually really bad for the health. You're inhaling his poop chemicals, actually. Everyone's behind him too, so they just had to hit it with a wave of Trump's.
And they didn't get shooed
disgusting
away. It was just the media. They probably wish that Trump turned around and said, you guys can go as well.
Yes. Can we leave too? What if it was this lady? Maybe it was her. Oh, that is one of the funniest clips I've seen in a while.
This is Eddie doing peak misogyny, blaming a man's fart on a woman.
Yes. She just looks like it could have been her. You know what that reminds me of? This.
Oh my God.
Copyrighted. This is us on the day of the revolution once we go into the White House.
I think I just shat myself.
By the way, I couldn't believe you didn't know Adam Sandler was a Zionist.
Dude, I swear I just buried my head in the sand because I didn't want to know. I'm like, oh, he's Jewish. I don't want to look into it. He's probably a Zionist. He's like hardcore too.
He's like the worst actor ever.
He actually is. Uncut Gems is pretty good. He can do.
I didn't like it.
Acting. You didn't like it?
I don't like it.
It was
Maybe I
very
gotta rewatch it.
stress-inducing movie, that's for sure.
The one that I liked was the Grown-Ups, but it was because of the other people mainly.
Yeah, Grown Ups is actually pretty funny. At least the first one. But it's just funny to see them all. But yeah, like Kevin James, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler has friends who are much funnier than him.
The Rob guy you attacked recently.
Rob Schneider.
His role is the funniest fucking one in that movie.
Who is he again at Grown Ups? He's like the same guy in every movie.
He was like a hippie that was dating an old lady.
Oh, that's right. That character was super funny. His
With
wife
like
is his grandma.
3 hot daughters or something.
Yes, 3 like blonde, like model daughters. And he's dating this old woman. Maze, it's amazing.
Larry David is the only Zionist we can forgive because he's funny.
Yes, true.
He's too funny.
He is so funny. Dude, I cooked Rob Schneider so bad the other day. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He was like retweeting some anti-China propaganda and said, I'm so glad we brought the R word back. And I said, we brought it back to, because it's the only accurate way to describe you. And it was that South Park episode. Rob Schneider is derpa deepy derp. He's like falling down the stairs. Oh, derp. We live in a South Park episode for real. Rob Schneider's also getting a divorce, by the way, so that's probably why he's just steering into MAGA, tweeting all day while his wife is like, Rob, please pay attention to me and the kids. Oh, kind of sad.
Yeah, it's interesting how these guys grow so deranged when they go through those moments in their life.
Yeah, there's always some shit going on behind the scenes, isn't there? I mean, I guess that makes sense. People are people, but and that's what people don't realize either. Like when you're young, you look at these celebrities like they're above being human, like they're just people on, images on the screen. And then at least if you do what we do, like we've met some borderline famous people, like they're just people with the same flaws and wants and needs and contradictions. Um, yeah, they're just people. And a lot of people know how to talk confidently and portray themselves as experts, but doesn't necessarily mean they are.
It's often the opposite, right? They have a heightened sense of stupidity because they occupy spaces where their opinions are just reinforced, and they grow so confident and hardened in their belief of various very stupid things that, from their position in society, they come to consider alternative perspectives or people who don't think like them as so much lesser that they're just intellectually crippled.
It's true. It's a sad place to be. Do you have any other segments today? Otherwise, I have one that you might not relate to, but still, it's something I've had planned for a while.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't have
Okay.
anything else planned.
So, okay. Jeez, I'm still bleeding. Jeez. Okay, hopefully I stop bleeding this stream. Only on Midwestern Marks, folks. This is mental toughness right here. So, I recently got done playing this video game, The Witcher 3. Well, I'm still playing the DLC, but I finished the main story. The Witcher 3 is known for being one of the greatest games, if not the greatest game ever made. It's incredible. The story is like watching multiple full-length movies that are extremely well written, and it's based off a book that came out of Poland called The Witcher. And I started reading the books recently. They're very good. And The Witcher is basically like the antithesis or the sublation of the Lord of the Rings, right? The Lord of the Rings and Tolkien is extremely metaphysical. It's all based on this destiny that exists in the abstract, and individuals are driven by this destiny. There's very polarized good versus evil. You have the evil orcs, and Sauron and Saruman, the bad guys, and then you have the hobbits and the elves and the humans, the good guys. And this is a lot of people who are big fans of fantasy, they like the Lord of the Rings, but it's not their favorite, right? Because they want something deeper. Now, The Witcher is deeper, right? Most fans of The Witcher probably appreciate Lord of the Rings, but they don't like it as much as The Witcher because The Witcher is materialistic, it's cynical. The characters are not black and white, they are contradictory. The story is morally gray, the way that life is. It puts the contradictory, conflicted characters in very unique and realistic situations that aren't just fighting the evil, fiery devil eye in the sky. Like Lord of the Rings, it's as realistic as you can be, with it being a fantasy novel that has like magic and stuff like that. So what made the game so good was that the creators of this game deeply studied the books. They read all of the books. They had great appreciation for the books. And that doesn't mean they didn't change anything, right? Or take any creative risks. But every risk that they took made sense for the characters and for the lore. They actually understood what the author was getting at. So people loved this game, and they were very excited to see it be turned into a Netflix series. Now, when The Witcher got in the hands of these liberal, millennial, narcissist Netflix writers, they took pretty much everything good out of it and tried to Lord of the Rings-ize it. I've played this game multiple times. Someone says, yeah, it's an amazing game. If you're a gamer, you like RPGs, you need to play it. It's the best RPG I've ever played, honestly. The story is just incredible. But The Witcher 3 The Witcher on Netflix is ass. It is ass. So the lead character, Henry Cavill, was a huge fan of the games and the books. And he was known to correct people on set who would get something wrong, right? They'd say something that wasn't accurate according to the books, the lore, and he would correct them. And he was very excited about playing this character, Geralt of Rivia, and doing an honest portrayal. but these narcissistic liberal woke ass Netflix writers said that the books were outdated because, you know, they had a man as the main character instead of a girl boss. And they said that they didn't want to surround themselves with book worshippers who made sure that they were true to the lore. So basically, what they did was Dunning-Kruger effect. They thought they understood what people loved about The Witcher, but they didn't because they were idiots who didn't read the book because the books are problematic because they were written by a white man or whatever. And they completely botched the show. They put the main character, Geralt of Rivia, in the background so that they could have these two girl boss characters who are nothing like what they are in the books and the video games. They made everything black and white. They took out all of the moral grayness. And there's all this like woke political messaging in it. And it's like, this is a series, an IP that stumbled into these Netflix writers' laps that has been beloved for years, right? This was written in the 90s, I believe, or earlier. Everybody loves the Witcher story, and there's very specific things that people love about it. But these narcissistic Netflix writers said, no, that's outdated. That's in the past. What the people need to see is another cast of diverse individuals pushing, you know, identity politics or whatever. They need to see another black and white Marvel style good versus evil movie, and not one that's, you know, actually morally complex and makes the has respect for the viewer and makes the viewer think. And it's just wild to me. Like, it really puts in perspective why people hate these Netflix executives so much. Because how narcissistic do you have to be to take such an amazing story by such a brilliant author and just completely shit on it and then say, oh, yeah, that's because the lore is outdated? Well, the fan base loves the lore. And now they fucking hate you because you ruined it and tried to shoehorn your own thing. And if you want to make your own fantasy novel with girl boss characters, do it. Don't slap the names of the characters from a beloved franchise on it. What are you doing? But these people are so narcissistic in their liberal Netflix bubble that they didn't realize they were going to piss off the whole fan base, including me, which they now have. And Henry Cavill left after season 3 over creative differences, meaning the authors don't even give a shit about the Witcher story. They only give a shit about their freaking woke virtue signaling. So this is art. This is what Che Guevara meant when he said that art is dead under capitalism. Some good stuff sneaks through the cracks every once in a while, but everything that Netflix gets, they just corporatize and turn into this standardized, bland garbage.
It's just like Bud Light. Just like what they did to Bud Light. Such a respected and admired and beloved franchise. And they just soiled it. They removed its essence from it. And many people, so I've heard from expert reports, have not drank Bud Light since. But that's actually very interesting. I haven't heard of the game or the book, but I'd be interested in hearing like what are some of the ways that the sort of grasping of contradiction with the characters and the black and white, what are some of the ways that the story removes it? Because at some point, someone mentioned international property or intellectual property laws. And yeah, we're against intellectual property, but if there's something that's beneficial about intellectual property is that you can't represent something else. Or the thing that people like about IP the most is that you can't just defame something else in its name, right? So what are some of the like specific changes that you remember seeing?
So Geralt, for example, is a super complex character, the main character. And he essentially gets sidelined in the middle of the show so that they can shoehorn Yennefer and Ciri into girl boss characters. But their character is like completely stripped from them. It's completely different, and it's just turned into this black and white, you know, kill the bad guy, Marvel style story. And, you know, it's outdated if the man helps. So he's just going to be doing side quests in the background while these girls do it. And it's just, it's a different story that they're telling in some ways. Sometimes they try to tell stories from the books, but they're all made black and white. I'm trying to think of a good example from the game. There's many good examples, like for example, there's a war going on between two feudal kingdoms. And one of the guys is like he runs a stable kingdom, but he's very conniving. And he's a dick. The game makes you hate him because you have personal interactions with him. However, the guy that they're waging a war against is like this psychopath who's like, like a Hitlerite, like burning people at the stake. And so in a way, you have to side with one over the other and accept that the outcome is going to be not perfect either way. And the choices that you make in the game will determine this. And there's all sorts of moral choices like that. Like, do you let this monster free and potentially save 6 kids, but the monster will then go kill an entire village of people? And you don't know, the ripple effect that your choices will make. And sometimes it's politically nihilistic, but actually sometimes it's not. The game redeems itself because there are times when actually, even though usually it's dark and gray and cynical, just like real life is all around us, every once in a while, good does win. Like you can put in power this in the game, you can put in power this female leader named Ceres on this place called Skellige, and she ends up being a great leader who serves the people and helps them out. So every once in a while, you do get a good, positive choice, just like in life. But a lot of times, you're accepting like the lesser of two evils, and then characters are deeply contradictory. There's no morally gray characters. They're like normal people, where they have their own interests. And the game understands those interests and builds, stories out of them rather than just, here's the evil villain guy and here's our 2 girl boss characters who are going to take him out because they're good and he's evil.
Thank you so much, Red Maze. But, when you're talking about how the Netflix writers manipulate things, what's the most controversial take we have? I wonder if you could guess it. At least from the comment section, the thing that whenever I speak about it, I'm guaranteed to get an insane amount of hate in the comments.
I don't know. With Netflix?
Yes, I want to see the chat guess. Try to guess what's the shit that's the most hot take we have.
They're about the Dave Chappelle?
No. I don't think we've commented much on that.
Noah did a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And people got mad at him.
AI.
Oh, yeah.
AI. Bro, AI is so fucking divisive. Whenever I put a video putting forth our position on AI, extremely, so much hate in the comments. But you know what? I can't wait for a world where any random motherfucker can just use AI to make a movie. Fuck all these Netflix writers. They're all fucking stupid woke tards with a woke agenda. Fuck them all. I can't wait for fucking Joe Shlomo and Ricardo and fucking Deshaun to make their own fucking movies on a laptop in 10 minutes with AI, and it's going to be infinitely better than the fucking cookie cutter bullshit we're fed on fucking Netflix and we're fed by fucking Hollywood. Fuck the Netflix writers. Fuck them all. Except for, I don't even know if there's good ones. I haven't seen a good fucking movie in so long. I'm sitting here just watching a bunch of old fucking Trumbull films whenever I want to see a movie. Because what the fuck am I going to waste 2 hours to watch some Netflix slop that could have been fucking made already by AI? Because it's the same movie with different fucking variables. Who's watching this shit? It's literal fucking cattle and sheep watching the same fucking movie all over again. It's like a different version of Clockwork Orange with different variables. Who the fuck is watching this? Get replaced by a computer. Grow creative, or your profession is dead and you're done and goodbye. You're not going to be missed. You're not going to be missed. And the other point that I wanted to make, which is a little bit more jargony and philosophical, there's this very interesting distinction that's drawn by what's his face? Boris Groys, between philosophy and sophism. He says the essence of sophism is to take a world that is very clearly gray and filled with contradictions, and things are always in a relationship of interdependency and interpenetration with their opposite, and just smooth it all over. and make things one-sided. The sophist is a guy with an agenda. The sophist is a guy who, by definition, is getting paid to teach people. And so they have an agenda. They're one-sided. And so whenever there's an argument, they're not trying to go upwards as the original sense of dialectic meant in Greece, where you're going back and forth with arguments. And in each counter argument, each side is getting refined and you're getting closer to truth. If your purpose is to have a faithful, a good faith argument, you're getting closer to truth. For the sophists, they have an agenda. They have a side that they want to win. And so it's all about winning debates. Versus the philosopher has to by nature be a dialectician and problematize the very simple-minded and one-sided ways that people see the world. That the philosopher is the one that has to show how everything is dependent on its other and on its opposite. And to engage in that genuine dialogue and go upwards is a way of recognizing that these things that we thought were mutually exclusive and opposite, they're actually much more interdependent and united than we initially thought. The philosopher highlights contradiction. And that's what the game did. And guess what the fuck the Netflix woke-tard writers did? They went to sophism. They took a philosophical game and they fucking turned it into sophism, smoothed it over, threw 3 girl bosses there and said, here, eat the fucking slop we're going to feed you, or else you're not going to have anything entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. And then they were mad, you know, and they blame the audience when people don't like it. Well, you guys just like this outdated stuff because you're misogynist. No, we're human beings who are intelligent and want intelligent stories, like the Batman 2022, which is like the only good movie that's come out in the modern era. And then you get like literal, sorry, I know there's a lot of super chats. We'll get to them. Thank you, Red Maze. But there's literal like teenage pornography, like Euphoria. And I remember a few years ago when people were like, I love that show. And it's like, it's a show about high schoolers having sex and like being naked on screen and doing these like degenerate acts. Like, you don't think this is having any effect on our population? People really think like entertainment media can be completely divorced from politics and from, you know, the effect that it has on our consciousness. When everybody in the country is watching a show about children having sex and we're run by a bunch of pedophiles, there's some kind of connection there between the art that they're producing, that these elites are producing, and the sort of degenerate politics and culture that they're promoting. Actually, the entertainment media can be even more powerful. And one of the things that these Marvel movies do is make everything just black and white, right? Don't understand these existing socialist countries or revolutionary countries like Iran as, you know, contradictory. They have their flaws and they have their struggles, but we support their struggle against imperialism and for sovereignty. No, it's just we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. Even though we're run by pedophiles, you know, it's still good versus evil, and our side is good. That kind of thinking is enforced by the media and the entertainment media particularly. Thank you, Infra MIG. Yes, agree with what you said. Similar to the Iranian Revolution. This is chemical warfare. When Trump sharded, that's actually hilarious. This is chemical warfare. Somebody get me a Tylenol. Hey, Eddie, have you played this PC game called First on Al-Aqsa, Knights of the Al-Aqsa Mosque? It's a third-person shooter where you play as Chris O'Lally that mimics the gameplay and the revenge story of Max Payne through the perspective of a Palestinian militant. No, I've never played that, but look at this shit. I pulled it up. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Dude, our channel's about to get nuked after this. You guys just cooked us with this. Is that Soleimani?
إيران للمقاومة في فلسطين لما امتلكنا هذه القدرات لقد تخلت عنا أمتنا تخلت عنا أمتنا.
No, that's Sinwar.
Yeah, Yawa Sinwar.
They've got the paragliders. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play that if it's legal. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but off camera, I'll check that out. We'll stream it on the gaming channel.
Let's redo October 7 in a video game.
A video. It's only $10. Hopefully the
as soon as you pay, Israel shows up at your doorstep.
It's made by the Mossad just to bait people.
There's like one part of the story where you have to behead babies, and then you instantly know who made it.
It got nominated for a Steam Award. That's crazy. Good for them. Good for them.
Barry Weiss, friend
Disclaimer.
of the show.
This game does not promote terrorism, anti-Semitism, hate against Jews or any other groups. It is a game about war like many other games here on Steam. That's so true, though. Like, the only reason this is offensive to people is because it's the other side. It's like that CNN video where they go to the DPRK, they're playing a video game where they shoot Americans, and CNN's like, oh, it's like, dude, what the fuck do you think Call of Duty is, you actual retard narcissist? Like, actually take one step back and think about Call of Duty and Medal of Honor and all of these games. You're shooting Russians, you're shooting Cubans, you're shooting Iranians, you're shooting every other country that the U.S. hates. But the second the Palestinians do it to us or the North Koreans do it to us, oh my God, they're brainwashing their kids. But if we say that Call of Duty is brainwashing our kids, it's a conspiracy theory. You are retarded. You have jelly beans in your brain. I had a friend like that in college who would say stuff like that. He was like he is the dumbest human I've ever met. But these are people who don't want to learn the truth. People who think like that are people who are like more comfortable being ignorant, so they actively choose to stay in a bubble where they can be infantilized like actual babies and watch Marvel movies and go goo goo gaga, Iron Man good, instead of understanding the world around them and being a man instead of a child who still needs diapers like Trump.
And all of these scripts have to get the okay of the military-industrial complex and of the State Department.
Yes.
Verifiably so. I mean, there's been so many reports on this.
I want to preface.
Every time you watch these films, you're literally watching State Department, deep state slop aimed at getting to you at an unconscious level, not just at a conscious level, at a deeper ideological level of how you relate with the world, such that when things happen, you don't even have to think about it. You just react in a way that's already predetermined and aligned with how the scripts taught you to think.
Absolutely. And it's very subtle and subconscious too. Did you want to watch this Jackson reacting to Tim Dillon? That sounds hilarious.
Yeah. I watched that. I can't remember if I watched the original Tim Dillon clip or I watched it through Jackson, but Tim Dillon's been on fire. I made a couple comments to you. I don't think you've picked them up, but the friend of the show thing is something that his community loves in the comment section, because he was shitting on Barry Weiss, and one day he's like, Barry Weiss, friend of the show. And now whenever there's like a person he shits on, his community in the comments, they'll be like, Erica Kirk, friend of the show.
That's us. I love Tim Dillon because he's not afraid to call out Rogan for his corruption, even though they're still friends, and he doesn't do it in like the meanest way, but it's like so funny watching him roast his own buddy. And Tim Dillon moved to Austin with Joe Rogan, was there for like 3 months, and was like, this sucks. I'm going back. And Rogan's like so desperate to convince, he like calls people when they say Austin's not a paradise and tells them to shut up. And Tim Dillon's like, nah, man, it sucked. I don't know what to tell you. I hated Austin.
What I say. So when it's reported by like MSNBC or something to fill their airwaves, I want to preface it. I'm just kind of going over that. I think it is very possible that Charlie Kirk, if it wasn't the lover of the furry, Tyler Robinson, right? Isn't that his name? Yeah. If it wasn't him, I think it's very possible that Charlie Kirk discovered something before he died.
We don't oftentimes have like good news to bring to everyone on this show because we're covering war, we're covering sabotage, intelligence, these sorts of things on this program, genocide, war crimes. But what I will say is I woke up this morning and I was actually cautiously optimistic, we'll say, because I saw a tweet come across my phone screen, this right here from Erica Kirk, which says Candace Owens and I are meeting for a private in-person discussion on Monday, December 15th. Real Candace Owens and I will have agreed that Public discussions, live streams, and tweets are on hold until after this meeting. I look forward to a productive conversation. Thank you. And Candace retweeted this and said, looking forward to the conversation.
I don't think this was
right?
the one that
No,
I
I
was
say
trying to find. It was a segment where Tim Dillon was talking about how difficult any regular American would find it to relate to how Erica Kirk. I mean, maybe it's this one. I don't know, but it
Let's
says it's
skip
from a
ahead to
month
Dylan.
ago.
And tell her, which is
skip ahead to the next part with Tim Dillon.
This video from Tim Dillon really strikes at the core of one of the biggest issues that is undeniable that may have something to do with the question we're all asking. Take a listen. Oh, you can't hear the video?
Here's what I will say about this thing, which I don't know much about. They're now unearthing weird things about the finances of TPUSA. Charlie Kirk, who I believe was someone who they could not compromise because he was not a drug addict or secretly gay, didn't have a gambling problem or whatever, which, by the way, a lot of people in politics do. They can be compromised because they're living some...
True. And you know what? I don't agree with Charlie Kirk's politics at all. He took billions of dollars in donations to be a sellout, and I criticized him all the time on TikTok, and it was one of my most popular series of videos was going after Charlie Kirk, and I missed those sparring sessions. But on some level, I've gained respect for the guy for not being, for at least finding his spine at some point and pushing back against the, Israeli lobby and not being a drug addict who was filmed at Jeffrey Epstein's island touching children. It just goes to show how depraved the people who run the country are, where they have someone who's, willing to take their side on all these issues, but if he won't openly endorse genocide or allow himself to be blackmailed or completely bought on every issue, they, allegedly, possibly, who knows, take him out. So, I don't know.
And Jackson just did a segment on this in his last live. There's substantial evidence that suggests, key word here suggests, we're not trying to get sued, that everyone around Charlie was Mossad. That basically the whole TPUSA affair, its founding, all the main people involved, all of them Mossad. Very credible evidence. There's this guy that went on Stu Peters' show, presented all of it. Phone calls recorded from Arizona, which is a one-party consent state. So, yeah. By the way, I sent you the right one.
This isn't the right one?
I could be, could not be. I'm not sure.
Double life. Yeah. And I don't believe that was the case with him.
This one is not bad. This one's good, but...
Okay. Should we pull up the other one, though?
I think the other one might be funnier. There was a funny clip of him.
And this turning point was an internal audit of TPUSA.
Everyone should be watching Jackson's show, by the way, now that he's back on YouTube especially. It is so good. It's going to continue to blow up.
It's the only thing I watch consistently, that I don't miss an episode.
Yup. I watch him and Kalinsky and then, random shit that pops up on my feed. Video game and wrestling videos. But when it comes to politics, if I'm not reading, I'm probably watching Jackson Hinkle.
That the right wing of this country has turned into like a bad reality show. And it's all of the fault of everyone, by the way. It's the fault of everyone speaking and everyone attending and there's nobody that gets everything about this is weird and uncomfortable for everyone. And I'm not saying she killed her husband or knew about it or whatever. I'm saying the guy got shot 3 months ago and she walks out to a pyrotechnic display and then she goes, we're going to elect JD Vance. It's weird that that's where her head is at. It's difficult for many people to relate to. It's not relatable for people that talked about how Hollywood isn't relatable and Hollywood is out of touch. this looks a lot like Hollywood to most people.
And we covered last week on the show, 11 days after her husband's murder, she was bragging about merch sales. Dude. I'm like, she either was a Mossad asset who just wanted to take over the company, or she hated her husband and was like happy when he died because it was just a gold digging marriage and she was happy to be free from it. I don't know what it was. I lean towards the former explanation, Israel was involved, but yeah, and I've said this on stream a million times, but like regular people in my life, like my mom, hello mom, if you're watching, she was like, what's going on here? Like, I can only imagine what my mom would be like if my dad died. Like, she would be distraught for maybe the rest of her life. She would be pretty not the same person. But to come out in front of fireworks and these skin tight shorts and just start giving JD Vance the Gluck Gluck 9000 on stage in front of his wife Vijay Prashad is just unbelievable. Sorry.
My God.
And to go out through a stream of fireworks and sparklers and stand there in a glittering pantsuit and talk about electing JD Vance 3 months after your husband was killed, many people feel that there is something off about that. And we're starting to see that political people are the exact same thing as the Hollywood elites that they all love to dunk on. And we all look at this. This is Megan Thee Stallion twerking at the Kamala rally. This is deeply unsettling to a lot of people. It feels like you're being played. You feel it. It seems off. You feel like this is a coordinated and choreographed spectacle so that you are played. They want your money. That's what they got mad at Candace about. They're like, why are you telling people not to give us money? She's also saying you killed the guy. Why are you mad about the money? They're just mad that they're not getting money. They want your money and they want to be celebrities. And okay, some of them are, but it just feels odd. This is everything they hate, that they don't like, that they're not about. They're not about this stuff. They believe in the sacred family and tradition and blah, 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 blah. And the women are in the house with the kids and what? What part of the traditionalism is the pyrotechnics and the fireworks? And it feels really weird. I mean, let's take a listen here to her. Yeah, I just, and the woman's been through a lot. And I know that, people are going to accuse me of being insensitive. But she feels like she's handling this death better than anyone I've ever seen. And by the way, kudos to her strength. I've never seen a human being bounce back like this. Talk about a bounce back.
So true, dude.
I've never in my life. I know people that have lost cats and dogs who couldn't do this in the time frame that she is.
It's so true. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's shocking from the first day I saw her. I'm like, wow, she's handling this well. Doesn't even seem upset at all.
That's as much of a fucking downplaying of it as like when Jesus, what's the name of the comedian that Addison loves? Norm Macdonald. When Norm Macdonald would was Wikipedia Hitler, and he starts reading. He's like, "By golly!" And then he finishes by saying, "What a jerk that guy was." What's funny is the gap between like, oh, you read all of that stuff about like genocide, and you're like, jerk is what you can come up with. But yeah, it's like, who the fuck? If my wife ever acted like that, if I go when the CIA takes us all and we're all gone, yeah, I don't know.
I'd haunt the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Mossad has drugs that I mean, yeah, all these journalists and stuff are like pumped full of Adderall or Prozac or pharmaceuticals to dampen their emotions, but
so
God, the memes were just too good, dude. It's so
The sixth stage of grief.
Has done it. I give her flowers. Okay? Like, God bless, you are killing it. It just feels people, again, I have no investment in shitting on the woman. I don't care. I don't agree with a lot of these people. I don't, this organization means nothing to me. I don't think it's a evil thing or a good thing. I'm looking at this like a reality show that has gone off the rails. A reality show where one of the producers of a reality show, because that's the way reality shows work. There are producers who get the women drunk, put them in a restaurant, and go fight. And we got to film it. And the producers are the ones on the reality show that arrange the storyline of what you're gonna hear and see. One of those producers here needs to whisper in somebody's ear, hey, I don't know what this storyline is, but we think there's a high likelihood that this is going to turn a lot of people off, that a lot of people are going to see this, the constant begging for the money, the constant J.D. Vance of it all. We're going to elect J.D. Vance. The election's 3 years away. There's something deeply unsettling about this spectacle. It makes Mamdani and AOC look great. The far left in this country, the Graham Plattners, they've been, and again, a lot of their policies I wouldn't love, but they seem mature and dignified, truly, because this has become like a weird quasi-religious like undertaking that involves glittering sequin gowns and appeals for more and more money. And it feels righteous gemstones. It's righteous gemstones coded a little bit.
It feels like it's been an Israeli op from the beginning, or an intelligence agency op from the beginning. Let's just be honest.
And you know what's crazy?
He's Nicki Minaj. What?
Yeah. But you know who? He's not wrong about the fact that the radical left, quote unquote, the Democrats, the Mamdani style people, they don't do that. You know, they have many flaws, but they do at least present themselves as decent, somewhat decent people to the general public. And I think that is the job of the left today. When you have such a degenerate ruling elite, parasitic elite, we have to be the vanguard of the fight, not only for our class, not only against war and all this stuff, but also for basic human decency, a basic valuing of humanity, which we can all clearly see the elite does not do.
Yeah. No, I agree with his point on that. Even though I don't like these people like Graham Plattner or whatever, I agree that they come off as like normal and actually trying to fix the country, as compared to these freaks who are using their loved ones' deaths to promote J.D. Vance, ogre president 2028. Here's another interesting. I mean, the Nicki Minaj stuff is wild because they're like videos of Charlie Kirk talking about how Nicki Minaj is a terrible role model for kids. And her husband, of course, because freaking all of these people are sex offenders, is a convicted sex offender. And probably the reason she's shilling for Trump is one, for money, but two, to try and get a pardon. It's like, why are all these people involved with sex crimes? We covered Erica Kirk's Romanian orphanage a while back on the show.
Does she think that the base of people who would watch, or I mean, who would listen to her music are like in TPUSA events? Because that's a weird, that's like,
right.
If it's for the money, I mean, there's other ways to make the money, but I don't think that's your audience, you know?
No. They're like, what the hell? Who's this bitch? This was so weird. I hope this is the video I want. Yeah, this is it. One sec. Oh, I've got it on mute. Hold up. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, I see that mute sign.
We're dated here because I saw vicariously through my room.
Hold on, I want to restart this.
Did you see, by the way, the Diddy clip where Diddy was like, "You're not gonna find my name in the files"? That was a tweet with like 500,000 likes. That was like, yeah, because you're the competition.
Oh, it's so good. Diddy tried to sneak back in. He's like, see, it wasn't me. And I was like, no, if you two were in competition. Oh, it's so funny. It's funny how it's making everyone like Stalinists too. They're like, throw these people in gulags.
He was like the Pepsi of pedophilia.
What about the guys you dated before Charlie?
I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was.
You were proposed to by Charlie in 2020. You started dating him in 2018. And 3 years before that, you were dating this guy, Tyler Massey. I mean, you guys would do couples photo shoots. This is still online. And this is only 3 years before you started dating Charlie.
He's in heaven.
Yeah, and 2 years later, you were dating this guy, Cabot Phillips, and here he is posting you guys on his public page saying, yes, we're that couple who gets painting lessons together. Again, this is a year before you started dating Charlie, and well within the 5-year period, you claim to have never dated anyone, but you were out here dissing your roommate for dating.
I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than go, I don't drink. I find it unproductive.
And why are you here drinking and dating on a reality show that actually was filmed?
These people are so fake, too. That's another thing when you get to know them behind the scenes. Like, you all know that Benny Johnson guy? It's like an open secret on the right that he's gay. Like, Tucker Carlson and Milo talk about it all the time. Lindsey Graham is gay. Like, tons of gay prostitutes have said that these guys hooked up with them. And then they just come out here and say stuff like this. And, you know, those people, like, their souls are gone. They all wanted to be actors in the first place. So that's what they're doing. They're acting. And then I think they're pumped up with pharmaceuticals that make it easier to lie.
Filmed the year you met Charlie. So you obviously were dating. So I'm not understanding your timeline. I mean, you're talking to a guy here who's asking you out on a date and you're taking his number? And here you are on your date.
I honestly spent the majority of my life being one of the most sought after bachelors. Oh, great. But I'm just really excited to spend some one-on-one time with Erica. I really do like her, and I'm excited to get to know her a little bit more.
Erica, hello? I just want to understand how you so confidently lie to our faces when this footage was on national television And you know the footage is out there. The pictures of your boyfriends that you dated are still public online. And you know that, but you still lie like this.
Stop.
Wait, isn't Cabot Phillips your ex-boyfriend? Why is he now the speaker of Turning Point USA?
Bruh.
Leading speeches of how to look like Charlie. What's going on, Erica?
Stop.
He's also the senior editor for the Daily Wire, the one outlet that your husband was having active beef with at the time, connected to Netanyahu. So
stop.
Right. So what else are you lying about? Because you're a liar. Point blank, period. You're a liar. And we just proved that. So this is still publicly accessible on social media. And you lied about that. You also lied about dating, but you were on a reality show dating the same year you met Jesse. You know what I mean? What else are you lying about? Like bigger things? Are you lying about bigger things? Because this is small and you'd really easily, with like a straight face, you lie. So like, what, because sure.
Stop.
That video was so well done. She hired her ex after her husband got shot in the neck. What the hell, dude? What kind of deranged? This is why my Instagram reels are filled with like people genuinely convinced she's a demon. They're like, here's the proof that Erica Kirk transformed into a demon live on TV. Like, what else do you call that, I guess?
As the wise philosopher Chris Brown once said, they're not loyal.
Well, do you have anything else you want to cover today?
No, that's it. Been talking for like 2 hours, talked for like fucking 6 hours earlier today. I had to do a bunch of editing work for the show. By the way, check out the show. I just had an episode with Dr. Raphael Holmberg, young professor, got his PhD same time I did last year. Probably one of the most brilliant people I think I've ever talked to. It was a very insightful and interesting philosophical conversation. Very high level. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's going to be a good one. And then I've done a couple really good interviews with Ahmed Kawayo, who was the person that created Africa Stream, which, if you guys remember, got censored directly by the Biden regime. And Anthony Blinken, he completely sniped it, basically manually from Instagram, Meta, and all of the Western platforms. And then I also spoke with Jennifer Koonings, who was one of the sexual assault forensic examiners in New York, who was at the front lines of saying that, these stories of rape coming out of Israel are not, they don't seem legitimate. There's not much proof behind them. And she got fired by the district attorney of New York for saying that. And now she's doing all this investigative research into the connections of Epstein and Mount Sinai. We had a very good conversation. So all of that's going to be dropping later this week. Subscribe to the Spanish YouTube if you haven't already. We just surpassed 1,000 subscriber mark. And I've been putting out very consistent content on there as well. And also big news, guys, the editorial, the Midwestern Marx Publishing Press is hitting the ground running very fucking fast this year. We bought 100 ISBNs. We have a ton of publishing projects that we have planned. Very, very good books from like leading fucking Marxists from all over the world. Books from China. There's books that we've been collaborating on with various local states in China that we're going to be publishing later this year. So I put the link there, but there's a book that we just came out with from Alan Freeman, who is perhaps one of the most notable Marxist economists in the world. My dad, who's not like a scholar or anything, he's been reading Alan Freeman since the beginning of Jesus Christ, what happened? He's been reading Alan Freeman since the beginning of the early 2000s when we got to this country. He published a book called The Continuation of Class Struggle by Other Means, where he talks about how indispensable war is for capitalism. You can't have capitalism without imperialist war. And he talks about what are those instances where the working class actually goes to war, making, for instance, a defense of like the Russian SMO and the various moments throughout world history where working class people have been in their right to go to war. So check that book out. It's very short. It's a quick read, but extremely insightful and educative. And it's $5, just the digital copy, and the physical copy is like 15. So Midwestern Marx, for the people prices, as always.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe and follow us on every platform. We got a lot of stuff coming. It's almost like Larry Ellison taking over TikTok was a blessing in disguise. Like, I'm still working on my short videos, and those are coming out here on the YouTube as well. But now I'm doing a lot more work on X. But we also have some big projects coming out. I'm constantly streaming now on Streamlabs, which looks a little bit more professional, and I go a little bit longer and do more of that kind of stuff. And we're upgrading the quality every time. Carlos has his show, which is very high quality, pumping out these awesome interviews with Marxist academics. Our Patreon has shot up, which is Midwestern Marx, if you want to become a patron and get access to Carlos's books, which are actually, they're right here right now, for just $10. So we've got that coming out, as well as continued short videos. And then we actually redid our website as well. Finally did a much needed graphic overhaul. So it's much easier to access our articles and find our Patreon and find all of our socials here, as well as the Midwestern Marx Publishing Press. And then I guess I'll just announce it now too. I wrote an article about Yugoslavia for the Red America Journal, which I recommend you guys check out. Subscribe to the Red America Journal. But the Midwestern Marx Publishing Press is going to turn that into a small pamphlet. So soon I will actually have a published, mini book that you guys can purchase and read. And I really want to get more into that kind of work because it's what I like to do. I prefer to study and write about economics, and I'm forced to make short TikTok videos all day in order to support myself. Carlos as well. So now that we're transitioning into this other kind of work a little bit more, I think it'll be really good for the audience. It'll be good for our sanity. And, it will allow me to make some money while also putting out something that I think is important on an issue that I've cared a lot about for the last few years and have studied for the last few years, because you still have leftists out here supporting the US-backed, NATO-backed breakup of Yugoslavia. So I've wanted to write about this forever. I've got like 1.5 more sections to finish, and then we'll edit it, and that should be out. So hope you guys like that. And yeah, just stay tuned. We got a lot of big stuff coming, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger over here. So
I read it when it was in article form, and I found it the most informative and concise thing you could possibly read if you want to know the history of Yugoslavia. And since then, Eddie has been continuously updating the story. So it's really like a comprehensive history of Yugoslavia. If you want to know what the fuck is going on in the Balkans, how the socialist state of Yugoslavia developed, all of the beefs, Tito and Stalin, and the non-aligned. If you want to learn about all of that, this is like the most fucking important thing. This is like the equivalent of like Parentes, black shirts and reds, which I always have on me. Parentes, black shirts and reds, what that is to like anti-imperialism in general and the critique of fascism. Eddie's pamphlet is going to be for Marxist-Leninist understanding of Yugoslavia. It's superb. It's one of my favorite things he's ever written, and I was very happy that I encouraged him to turn it into book form. I think it's going to be big. So, we like doing streams and videos, but we really like doing this other stuff. And if you want to see us continue doing this other stuff, support us. Buying an ebook helps. Buying Eddie's book when it comes out is going to help. Signing up for Patreon helps. Unfortunately, we live on fucking capitalism, which makes us pay an arm and a leg for basic shit that socialist countries provide in a much more affordable manner. But
yeah, absolutely. I'll let you guys know when that's out. It'll probably be on the Patreon as well. We'll go get to work on it. But thanks for hanging out. Thank you to all the super chatters. Got a bunch of great super chats today. We will see you on the next stream.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your mind. Don't cling so hardly your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no rights. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations. We've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor, we defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions, change will not come from above. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world